Welcome to another APBU event. If you're not familiar already, APBU is the community engagement leg of the APB stores. It blends education exposure to new concepts by infusing those interests with our community specifically. The goal is to put your personal growth at the center. And tonight we have a focus on APB music once again. And we have J Fresh P here with us tonight. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself. We also have P here, who's on our team, who's our creative strategist. We have Sid here, the whole APB team. So first, I'm going to allow Sid to introduce herself, and then we're going to allow J Fresh P to do his thing as well.
What's up, guys? I'm Sid. Super excited to have Fresh P with us for our APB audio event. I'll be hosting again alongside Elliot and working with P.
So, Jay, man, just give a quick intro to who you are real quick for those that may not be all the way familiar. Just a quick little background on yourself, man.
What's good, man? J Fresh, Josh, Ivy, J Fresh P, whichever one, doesn't matter really, but a local radio host here in Columbia, South Carolina. Been doing this roughly about 7 years now, straight out of college. Got the job straight out of college and it's been working out, So, I do a little something. Of course, I love fashion amongst sneakers, but most importantly, I love radio and music and love giving back to the community. So definitely, that's what we're here for.
Word. Appreciate that, man. So just to give everybody a quick overview of what tonight is going to be about, we're going to have a couple questions. We're going to have like a real interesting and in-depth dialogue with Jay just to kind of get an understanding of his world, just definitely from a music background, from a radio personality background. Sid's going to be leading all those questions. I'm going to ask a few questions myself. And then after that, we're going to open the floor to you guys with any questions that you may have, or if any dialogue or any themes that you want to discuss or jump into. So, Sid, I'm going to let you take the floor and get into it.
What's up, guys? Again, Jay, we appreciate you just taking the time to give us, the radio rundown. But before we do that, we would like to just get to know you a little bit more. Get to know more about you and, of course, your career. Just shooting off, how long have you been in radio and what actually sparked your passion for it?
Been in radio, terrestrial radio, shall I say, or commercial radio. I've been doing this 7 years, start from December 5th, 2013 to now. It's been doing that. What sparked my interest? I've always loved music. Always love music. Man, I love radio since I was growing up. Now, did I want to be a radio personality? No. Didn't even think about it. Didn't even think about it at one point. You couldn't tell me I wasn't going to the NFL. Like that was the goal. That was where I was at. Playing football, a few injuries here and there. One of the last injuries that I had when I came to college here in South Carolina, I kind of decided, like, do I still want to play or do I want to pursue what my degree's in? And my degree is in sports. Well, it's in physical education with an option in sport communication. And I also have a minor in radio broadcasting. So I kind of took that, met some guys that were doing ESPN work, did an internship with them down in Atlanta. And that's when I really like, hey, I want to be a commentator. I want to be like on Sports Center. That's what I want to do. The guys who I was interning with, they actually did First Take. If you're familiar with First Take with, Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith back in the day, they used to do it before Stephen A. Smith even took up on the show. It was just those two guys, the two live stews is who I'm speaking of in this particular case. But, I wanted to do that. It worked out to where I had the internship. I met a lot of people, networked with a lot of different people, came back to school, finished up. And sports radio was where I was, that was my thing, sports radio, doing that. And long story short, there was a contest in Columbia, South Carolina to be on the radio, and of course doing the sports radio, that was one thing. That's my thing, and I still do that, but I wound up joining the contest for Hot 103.9, 93.9 here in Columbia, and I won it. And I've been here ever since. A lot of people, would have thought, hey, it's going to be like you're going to be like, cleaning up, doing, small little things. But it was some hard work, here and there, but I'm still here. And, radio is, this is the love. Music is the love. And I've been doing this ever since, So I could do other things for sure, but right now I'm definitely doing hip hop radio, and I love it. People you meet, networking, it's all love.
Yeah, that's truly inspiring, and it's pretty interesting that you had other goals to begin with. I feel like radio is just one of those things where people may not know what specific avenue to go down. So if they don't have a team or a mentor, or they didn't land an internship, what kind of advice would you give for any newbies that's just looking to get into the radio field?
Well, 2020 changed a lot with radio. I'll say that, to say the least. So if you didn't go to school, because there's a lot of people that do radio that have not been to school, they don't have a degree in it. So for one, you don't need to go to school for this. Interning, you can learn a lot. You can learn it off the muscle, but um, the biggest thing I would say is find out what you actually want to do in radio, but at the same time, don't be opposed to doing everything. Like if they ask me to work a country station tomorrow, I'm gonna have to do that. That's just one thing I would do. When I say be opposed to doing certain things, I'm talking formats. So that's one thing. Don't be opposed to that. But the next biggest thing, podcasting. Podcasting right now is the wave. Radio's not going anywhere, but at the same time, podcasting is like, that's your way of being seen. There's people getting picked up off the street to do radio shows because their podcast brand was so strong. So hey, if you don't have the opportunity to go to school, you don't have the opportunity to get an internship, build your own, start your own. You can have a laptop and a microphone, and you can make your own brand. What do we do? Barbershop talk or shop talk, nail salon talk. That's what people want to hear. People want to see true transparency nowadays, and it's just one of those things where, hey, you don't really need a station to back you. You can have your own platform. Hence the why I started my own podcast that I kind of been on hiatus right now, but at the same time, I'm a radio personality with a podcast, so I would tell anybody to do that. Now, on the other side of it too, talk to people. Like, we have these phones that cost so much money, voice memos, right? If you ever wanted to be in radio, record yourself, talk on the the voice recording. I do it to this day, before the radio station and even to now, and see how it sounds. Like, hey, okay, let me see how that sound, or listen to it, let other people hear it, and that in turn can turn into an air check. Now, an air check is simply, it's a audio resume, how you sound on air in between the music, or in between the commercials, or in between the PSAs. So I would say, for one, start your own brand. Start your own brand for sure. Podcasting, interviews, local artists, things like that. Do that for sure. But at the same time, don't be opposed to reaching out to radio stations, trying to get a job. It's a lot. I came in the door a little bit untraditional, but were they answering my calls before that contest? No, hell no. No, it was just a hope and a prayer to help me get to this position right now for sure. And we're still striving. I'm not still where I want to be, but I would definitely tell you, start your own brand. Make an air check or some recordings of yourself, hear how you sound, and perfect it. Because I listened to stuff from back in 2013. I'm like, man, that was trash. Man, that was trash. It don't sound the same. Then I went back and listened to some stuff from like college. Man, it was nothing similar to what I am now. So like, I would say, just record yourself always. Reach out to people. Don't be opposed to networking. And hey, that's how I go. I might be long-winded on that one, but
No, you definitely threw in a lot of, like, key things that I feel like people should know about the industry. And it's also good that you are multifaceted and being able to, start your own brand, being a radio personality, and of course, diving into, podcasting and things like that. So do you mind like describing to us what specific lane you're in? What does your job entail? And what does that look like for you?
Gotcha. So I'm a personality. All right. So radio personality, pretty much what I do, or what I was doing in between. I might read some liners. So you might have, prime example. All right. February celebrity birthdays. This is just something small. So, you will read stuff in between the music, but at the same time, anybody can read stuff between music. Anybody can introduce a song, so you would want to make yourself pretty much the personality in between. How you are between that music helps you stand out. So when I talked about that recording of yourself, when a program director, a music director, or an operations manager, they're listening to you, they want to hear you in between that music. Because I can put anybody in that spot, but what can you do that's different from this person in that spot? So essentially, being a personality, you want to be a personality audio wise. When I'm listening, I want to hear stuff, or as we call it, theater of the mind. I grew up listening to radio like, I was born in '89, and my mom used to always listen to Tom Joyner, like the whole "It's Your World." Like it was a whole drama.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. So, like, prime example, like they would have a play, and you would listen to it, or even let me use this as an example: being an athlete, listening to football games or a fight, boxing fight. If you're hearing it, you want to visualize it in your head. So as a personality, you want to be able to give the listener something to visualize while you're on air. Talk about certain things. Gossip is cool too, but give them something else, So really that's what a personality is. Of course, the commercials you read off, the liners, like I said. The board, you want to be able to work that board, because if something goes haywire, you got to be able to maneuver. Dead air is quiet, silence. You can't have that at all in radio. You don't want that at all. Man, that gets people fired. But playing commercials. Essentially, if you hack somebody, that's pretty much the biggest thing other than being a personality. You got to play those commercials. When people say, hey, pay the bills, we got to go to pay the bills, that's exactly what they mean. Like you got to play those commercials. Those are what keep radio stations afloat, which is why you'll see a lot of in the pandemic, a lot of radio stations or people have been laid off. Certain stuff has happened because people weren't buying commercials. People didn't need, they didn't need somebody to come out to do such and such because everybody's in quarantine, So it's one of those things. But yeah, personality is simply a personality in between the music. What are you giving the people aside from the music, But you want to be quick about it. You don't want to be long-winded. You want to kind of get in and get out, but make it short and sweet. Now, you might have those things like the Breakfast Club, those talk radios where it's more like a podcast dynamic or interview based. You have that here and there, but on a regular day-to-day, it's simply what are you making between the music, playing the commercials, playing the music, same old. But yeah, that's kind of the gist.
Yeah,
I'm gonna jump in real quick. I had to ask a question about, because you started mentioning the boards, the levels, and things like that, and it just made me think about, I don't know if people know how much that needs to be controlled, or like how much is going on at one time, like how you're pretty much juggling at all points in time. So can you like dive into that? Like, oh, I gotta have the commercial breaks coming here. I gotta make sure levels is right. There's no dead silence. I gotta be on. Like, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Definitely. So like prime example, like I might check it from time to time to make sure it's playing, right? But it's one of those things where most radio stations are a cluster of like 5 radio stations in one building. So how do I want to put it? So like there might be a Saturday, it might be a Sunday, or it might even be an overnight where that stuff has to play. Now, most times it's going to play automatic. It's going to do its own thing. But if something were to not play or skip, you got to be able to jump and do it. And sometimes you might be doing it between 5 different stations. Now, my station is the hip hop station, but we have the old school hip hop, we got the sports, we got the contemporary, we got the rock. If I'm the only person in the building, I got to make sure all the commercials are playing for every station, and really not sitting there all day. I can go in and make sure, okay, it's playing, cool, check, I'm going to the next. But there's always that one case where something might not play, or something might skip, or something might be stuck that you got to do. So yeah, it's a lot. And then not only that, you might have a caller call in. You got to make sure your show, like I said, the theater of the mind, you still have to create that part of it while making sure you catch the latest news or the birthdays, making sure the music plays, the commercial plays. If you're running around catching other stations, if nobody else is in the building, you got to be able to do that too. So it could be a lot. It's funny, I do it like second nature now. Mm-hmm. But man, coming out of college, working overnights, bruh, like it was one of those things where it's like, man, what is this? Like, and the board is like, they used to call it, I don't want to curse, but they call it a bee in the situation, right? So it can be like that, right? It can be that, like, it's so much buttons and things and something can just go haywire. And if for those who do music, it's kind of the similar thing, but man, it's a lot to it. And something might not play, you can't hear. You like, oh man, what's going on? And so learning the board is like one of the biggest things I would say as a personality you want to do, because you don't want to be, like I said, you know, in 2020, a lot of stuff happened. A lot of people getting laid off. The more things that you can do, the more things you know, you'll be around. If I can just talk on the mic, but I can't run my board, like what good am I? You know, like guaranteed, if you've ever watched the interview with the Breakfast Club, right? Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God, and of course DJ Envy, they have Dramos there as their board op. But if something were to go haywire and Dramos wasn't there and any of them had to run the board, all of them could run the board, guaranteed. You know, so that's one of the hidden things that a lot of people don't catch when it comes to like knowing that. Like you gotta, that part of it can make or break a show or make or break a production, as they say. You know, so yeah, it's a lot to it. It's a lot to it, but repetition, hard work, and I mean, you'll definitely get it. It's second nature. Just like anything you love to do, or even something you don't love to do. You might be working a regular job you don't like, but that repetition gets you to know how to do it to where it's like, all right, I got it, to where I can't mess this up. You know.
Facts.
Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of interesting things that go into radio that you know, people may not know about. And you know, having 7 years in the game is definitely one of those things where it's just like, I'm sure you've had to learn a lot. And what I was curious to know, what are a few things that you've actually like learned along the way, or that you wish you've known up until this point?
All right, so I still want to learn a lot. Put it that way. There's a lot I haven't learned yet. I still want to learn, but some things that I've learned. One of the biggest things is I can't just play what I want to play. You know, I cannot do that. If I'm feeling a certain type of way, hey, it's Thursday, I want to hear this. You know, Big Pun, you know, passed away 21 years ago Sunday, right? I wanted to hear Still Not a Player. I had to ask for permission to play that. You know, that's one of those things. Now, if I just threw it in the system, and nah, it's in there, but if I just throw it in the rotation, that's one of those things I had to really learn. Like, this isn't my playlist. You know, this is someone else's playlist. Although you may call and say, hey, can I hear this? Or somebody else may call and say that, of course I can do that. Or something's new, Cardi B just dropped Up, and we got to get that in there, you know, something like that, right? But that's one of the biggest things I had to learn is like, I can't just do what I want to do on this. And the commercial part of it too, those have to play. A commercial cannot, you can delete a song can skip, but a commercial, that's paid for. You know, that's something that cannot be, man, that can't miss money. If you as a bit, let's just use an example. Let's say APB paid $1,000 for a particular spot to run. And when I say spot, commercial, to play for a week. All right. If you miss any of those commercials that you had to play, APB is gonna be mad. I'm pretty sure. You know, everybody's gonna be like, hold on, they didn't play our stuff, man. They charged us this, they didn't play our stuff. That's exactly how it works with any business that pays for commercials or whatever. So music, you can't do what you want to do with the music. And definitely those commercials must play. That's one of the biggest things. And there's a few things outside of it, like when it comes to interviews, how you would go about reaching out to certain artists. You know, sometimes you can reach out to the artist yourself, but then there's a situation where there's, you know, music reps that you have to deal with, or label reps. You know, you have to deal with them, and they bring the artist. Sometimes the artist might not want to do it. It's a lot to it with that, but just kind of being cool, but at the same time, you know, knowing what you need to know and learning on the fly. Because a lot of people won't teach you stuff, to be honest. With this stuff, a lot of stuff is you'll learn the basics, but there's a lot of, I'm not going to teach you to take my job, and that's a whole nother thing. But
keeping the skills secret. But
no, I'm not, but man,
oh yeah, we definitely appreciate you just spreading some insight on what really comes with the industry and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Right. So curious with that. I know we've touched base with the career, we touched base with you personally, but just getting a little insider radio scoop. We want to know, what are some misconceptions that comes with radio, and what are some perks that you realize like, yo, this is lit. This is a good field to be in. Just curious to know.
hold on. What now? I got the perks. What was the first one you asked now?
What are some misconceptions? Like, what are some things that people would assume or may not know that actually comes with the job, or however.
Well, yeah, the biggest misconception, I had to go back to it, the music that I could just play, or let me use this for example, local artists, there's a method to the madness with that. Like, we can't just, so I'll use me for example again, growing up in Florida, like, I feel like our radio station back home plays everything from local artists. I feel like they do it like it's a guarantee it's going to be in the system, right? But not quite. You have the DJs that have their mix, and then you have the actual system music that has to play. So one of the biggest misconceptions is that one of them I feel is that you could just play anything or anybody, and that is not the case. It's a whole method to that madness. And again, coming from Florida, I was like, man, why y'all don't play? Why am I not hearing these local artists in Columbia? Why am I not hearing these people in North Carolina, South Carolina? It's a whole method behind it and how you get airplay. So that's one of the biggest things. People a lot of times think you could just play anything, but unfortunately, it's not that way. Do I wish I can do it? Yeah, for sure. Because again, going from what I grew up listening to, but that's not it. Now, perks, sometimes you can just go somewhere and say you're from the radio station, and you might be able to get in a particular place free or drinks. That stuff happens, but like, do I abuse it? Nah, I'm not even that type. I'm just like, I'm more chill, laid back. If it happens, it happens. But if let's say City Girls was in town, they're at the club, most likely I'm gonna be able to get in without buying a ticket, without paying anything, because of simple fact, the radio station, or I might be able to have a potential interview, XYZ. So that's one of those bigger perks, I would say, or even sometimes going to different cities, I might be able to go back home, and I might be able to go do things I couldn't do prior to being in radio, meet different people I couldn't do prior to being in radio. Like the Babies, like his label, one of those guys I met in Florida before I met here. But that particular bridge between the radio station here and just him having ties to Florida, we wound up being in the same place at the same time, and it was all love, and it was great. So those are one of the perks I could say.
Yeah, that's lit. Sounds lit, seems lit. It just comes with the job. So that's what's up. And I know we want to get into the radio rundown, get a little bit more, but I do want to shoot you with a couple more questions. Again, we at APB, we do appreciate you just giving us your insight, taking the time to be with us. And of course, we have a long-standing relationship with you. When you do go to APB stores or you find yourself in the area, what exactly does it look like for you when you're going into a store? Are you shopping for sneakers? Are you shopping for clothes? Just give us a little intel with the relationship we have, just so the people can know.
Oh, so for one, whenever I go in any APB, I'm going there for sneakers first. Now, what I would say is I love the positioning, like just going in, like I was talking to Cody earlier. Shout out to Cody over there. Like, I could tell just from his background, I could tell where he was, because that branding or that positioning of how the store is structured, like that. Growing up in Miami, a lot of our boutiques and stores, you got the regular Foot stores, Foot Lockers, Champs, you got those, right? And they all look the same kind of, but when you walk into APB, and I could see more than just sneakers, I remember before StockX and Gold and all these other places was popping up, you guys used to sell like the little blue book to tell you about reselling, like for sneakers. Like, that's something I would have never thought would have been in this store, but it was, or the Bear Bricks, it's just not only being able to go into the store and buy what I want, but being able to have great conversations with people who are like-minded, who love sneakers or love fashion just as much as I do. And not only that, just the way the store is structured and built is, man, I could chill in. There's been times I go in the store and I'll sit in there, buy what I need, get what I came for, and I'm still in there talking about just regular stuff. That any APB I've been in, social status, my year, same deal. It's always that way. And the people make it the best as well. Not only that, just like I said, you come in there for what you come in there for, but when you can get that feel or that comfortableness when you're in there too, that's always a perk. So shout out to APB for that, always.
Yes, we're super happy on our, relationship, and definitely just more to come, guys. So definitely gonna build on that some more. And just to wrap it up, of course, with the pandemic and COVID and everything else going on, we definitely want to know how has radio shifted during these times. Um, what are you doing, and what are maybe your future goals, or how has that shifted your plan for the next couple years, months, weeks, whatever?
Gotcha. So I mean, pandemic has changed a lot. My last year has been different. I was the weekend guy right before Super Bowl last year. I was a weekend only, Saturday, Sundays, right? And like February 6th, I got the spot to do 6 to 10 Monday through Friday. And I still do a Saturday show, but it's a little different, right? So that happened right before the pandemic. So, pandemic, I'll say like March 14th-ish, March 16th-ish, everybody was quarantined. So I'm in the studio now, but we don't have to be here every day as we used to be. If I needed to, I can record with this laptop and a microphone at home, like I was telling everybody with a podcast. Same exact way. The first few months, man, for March, it was like that for a while. Just being home, growing out the hair and everything, just recording. It's way different. You can't interact. You couldn't interact with callers the same way. Um, of course, like the music, what was in there is in there. I might not hear it, but I'm gonna record what I'm supposed to record in between that music. So that has changed a lot. As far as people in the station, and stations, other people I know at other stations, I've seen it. Some of the same faces you saw last year, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, are not there. That's changed a lot. Budgeting wise, budgeting is a big thing when it comes to the radio or music industry, period. So that's changed a lot. Artists, man, artists. I don't remember the last time an artist came to the studio. I do not remember. I've done a bunch of IG live interviews. It would have been dope to have Mulatto in here doing the interview live, but we had to do it on IG. It was cool. It was still fun, but way different. So from interviews to interacting with the people to being in the actual studio, like it was one point at the house, I made a particular room my little studio, kind of makeshift studio. And it still, to me, it didn't sound the same. I'm like, man, it don't sound the same. It don't sound the way I love it for it to sound when I hit a playback, right? And so I had to find ways to make it sound how it does when I'm in here. And then when we got to kind of A-OK to kind of be back in here, I found myself being here more, still, because it's like, man, I miss being in here. It's when you've been in here, been used to doing it so long, man, it's just one of those things where like, yo, you want to be back in here. So pandemic's changed a lot with just the dynamic of interviews and man, the listeners and just being comfortable in the studio. This mic way different from the mic I got at home. The mic at home is cool, but it ain't this mic. The soundproofing way different. You got to make that. Like, what was that movie? Hustle and Flow, where they use the McDonald's little cup holders, like that. Man, like you got to get like that in the studio. Get the foam stuff. Make because that sound. Taking this for granted, I did take that a lot for granted being at home. And then when I was at home using it, I'm like, man, this don't sound the same. It's different, and you realize how much is different when you're there doing that. So it's pretty cool, But
Yeah.
a
Sounds
lot
like the whole work structure's kind of changed a bit, but it's all about adapting and going against the adversities. And
being
again,
out, being out with the people too. Another thing, like we always out in the community. It's that's changed with the pandemic too. Hopefully we get back to that very soon. I pray.
definitely, especially us being hyper community based, we definitely feeling that too. So much love. We gonna push through, everybody. We getting through it slowly but surely. And again, I want to pass the baton off to Elliot, but before I do want you to let us know what are some of your goals now.
Like a 5-year goal, or
just with now that the dynamic of work has changed, getting back into the studio or not knowing if we may have another break, what are your personal goals? Where do you see yourself in the next couple years or even months,
Gotcha. So me doing the 6 to 10 for a year is good, but I definitely would want to do that long term. I've had a few number one shows in that time frame, and that's in the pandemic, so I would love to in the future just do it number one, but the way it was before the pandemic. So I would love to do that. Like if I were to see like years from now, hey, definitely do I want to be in South Carolina long term? I would definitely say no. But if it happens that way, perfect. It's one of those things. I would love to travel more, maybe be syndicated. Syndication is one of the biggest things in radio that like I was talking about the Breakfast Club earlier, you know, man, being able to sit at home in Jersey, Charlemagne, prime example. I'm at home in Jersey, but you can hear me 100+ places, you know, as if I'm there. That's one of the goals. So like nowadays with the pandemic, you know, you might not can travel or be somewhere. And we talked about Tom Joyner earlier, the fly jock. He was known for flying from place to place doing his shows. You don't got to do that no more. You know, I could just upload it. You can hear me everywhere, or it can broadcast live everywhere. You know, so definitely I would say a goal is to be in multiple markets other than South Carolina. You know, so whether I'm here physically in South Carolina or not, you'll hear me here, but you'll hear me everywhere else too.
All right, we're looking forward to hear more from you. Definitely staying connected there. Appreciate you just taking the time to answer these questions for us. Again, got to know you a lot more, and even the industry a lot more, and what it takes to be a radio personality. Elliot?
Yeah, so I actually want to allow some people in the chat to ask some questions. So we have one. The name is just iPhone user, but you know, if you want to drop your name, man, and introduce yourself, that'd be cool too. But the question is, did you ever intern at any other radio station or podcast before you got this job?
Yeah, I interned. I haven't done any. Well, let me go back. College radio, I did technically an internship with that. WSSB, which is at South Carolina State University down in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Like the sports radio that I started off doing was there first. So I did that, worked on a few shows, helped produce a few shows. Did that. I never did a hip hop show there at all. Only sports radio. And then my internship I did at 790 The Zone, which was in Atlanta. It was off Peachtree. Like they've changed the format since 2011, but back then, like that was the Two Live Stews were the guys in Atlanta. Like when you talk about sports radio, black hosts, those are the guys. And like I said, they were on First Take well before, you know, Stephen A. Smith took the job with Skip. And you know, so that was what those are the two internships I had. And luckily, going back to school, doing that, what I did in Atlanta, helped me do more at the school, because they were like, man, you were here, you learned this, let's see what you learned, and kind of put it to test. So it was kind of like a, you know, show what you know, or show and tell type deal.
That's what's up. I feel like that's a good way to cut your teeth in a situation like that. That's when you really start to, like, you know, rub shoulders and understand the lay of the land and the foundation behind what it is that you do now.
Right, definitely.
He actually has another question here as well, asking, can you give an example of how you would introduce a song or a celebrity birthday?
Hold on. So
put you on the spot. Put you on the spot.
So we got commercials playing right now, but
you'll jump in.
So yeah, I'm not gonna do one live because it's a bunch of time till it play, but I'll use some of the songs we got. So we got Damaged by Her, and then we got Body from Megan Thee Stallion. So this is what we call like a speed break. So it's kind of like a get in, get out. It's not my normal talk break, but pretty much like, yo, what's up? It's Hot 103.9, 93.9. You hit a J Fresh. That was her with that Damage. Now we're gonna get into this Body. Did you see the video? Megan Thee Stallion was going crazy. Let's get it. It's Body, Megan Thee Stallion. Let's go. You know, so something like that, you know, just kind of get in, get out. You could say some funny stuff. Like I've been, man, between Body, WAP, and the Up video, like those breaks, I had the most fun between those songs because I can kind of play with them. Like, yo, like, hey, video, you seen what they was doing in the video? Like, so
right.
I'm not necessarily saying too much, but I'm enticing. Like, hey, you might can go to our website and check out the video, or go to my Instagram story. I just posted it up on there, and you can see my real reaction. Not what I can't say on air, but you'll see how I really feel about it. So it's kind of like a throwing the bait out there. Oh, let me go check that out. What he was talking about. You know, on a longer break, you know, you'll of course have to read the certain liners, but you can talk about the last song, talk about the liner, maybe tease something that's coming up. Like, hey, you want to hear that new Up from Cardi B? I got that coming up at the top of the 7 o'clock hour, you know, and then boom, you know, kind of tease that. So like if somebody's in their car wanting to hear Up, oh man, he ain't play Up in a minute. Oh, 7 o'clock, let me lock in till then. You know, therefore, or they'll try to change it back by then. But your goal is to keep them there to listen, and then finish it out through. So yeah.
No, that's hard. Like
the thing I noticed was like the animation, like in certain words, like, yo, check out her. Is it like a certain flair or a certain way that you would approach that from like which words you stretch out type of deal? You know what I'm saying?
I never really think of it like that. I mean, sometimes you can, like, you might find somebody that's like, it's people here. I've heard other ones that sound like they got true radio voices. Like me, I'm still me. So whether it be slang, colloquialism, I'm still going to introduce a song the way I would talk to my homies about it. Because at the end of the day, you want to visualize somebody, there's nobody in here with me, but I'm going to talk like there's somebody in here with me. So you're going to think like, oh, he talking like he at the shop. You know, he talking like he at APB talking to Cody getting some shoes. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's one of them things. Like, so you don't want to be too radio voicey. Like, I'm pretty sure every city done had a quiet storm. Like, and those guys come on there, like, that ain't me. No, bro. Like, I'm gonna talk the way I talk in between it. So really, word choosing. I mean, you might choose a word from a song, or you might use like the Baby ends a lot of his songs with he'll say something crazy in the end of the song. Mm-hmm. You might could take that little last thing he said and come up with something yourself. You know, and I always say to think about it because you don't want to trip up on your words before you get on there. Like, everything ain't freestyling. You want to, you know, kind of formulate what I'm going to say on this next break or, you know, whatever's next. But you could take that one little part of something he said in the song. Oh, matter of fact, I was talking about what's the Cardi B says, like, no face, no case in the end of the song. Right. So you could use that and talk about anything. You could relate it to her. Or you could talk about no face, no case or something else. I ain't saying to go do nothing crazy, but, you know, just kind of hype that up and then use that. So use what you got in front of you to make a good break or entertaining break, shall I say.
No, that's hard. That's I didn't even think about that, to use the last of a song to kind of like rap into what you're about to say.
Like, me and my homies, we used to always, like, I never wanted to be a rapper, right? But we used to always freestyle. And one of the main things we used to do is the last word somebody said, boom, go from there. So like, you could, last thing you said, I'm gonna go in with that, and then
right.
So it's kind of like it's not necessarily freestyling, but it's kind of like I'm gonna use that to give me something else, and who knows,
like
something else from there. You know, it's pretty dope there.
No, man, that makes complete sense. I got one more question from you from Cody.
Okay.
He wants to know who is a known mentor that you have had in the industry that's keeping your head up when you deal with adversity.
I got a few, and so the two live students I talked about, Doug and Ryan Stewart, those two I could reach out to anytime and ask questions, pick brains, and, you know, just say, hey, what's good? You know, what you think about this? Charlemagne, always, man, like, he's from here. He was at this same station, got fired from this station, always to tell us, you know, stories about that. But one of the main things I used to always hit him about, like, man, why they doing this? Why it's like this? And one of the main people who told me to learn this board was him. Don't worry about that. Learn the board. You know, maybe he's doing that to make sure you could learn this or do that. So he was one of the main people that, because he was here first. So I would always, like, all right, those my sports radio mentors. I could ask them about certain things about, you know, audience, things like that. But Charlemagne was here. He was at this station. He know how it was, you know. So I would reach out to him and ask him certain stuff here and there. He'll always give me a reason of why it probably was, to kind of see it through. Like, all right, don't worry about that. Like, do this and then go from there. And I'll be dang, 7 years later, still, like, everything he said thus far is kind of there. And, you know, we still pushing, but at the end of the day, it's you know, he's I could say he's definitely one of those. It's a few females in radio, like one of my homies, BZ Baby. She was here at the radio station with us, and she was kind of going through the growing pains with me in the station, you know. So we were kind of, you know, iron sharpen iron type deal, you know. I'm telling you one thing, you tell me one thing, or we're learning together. And that's the one I could say she's taught me a lot while she was learning, you know. So but if I had to pick one, I'll say Charlemagne, because, you know, hip hop and where he's at this point in life. And he's never, I can text, he might not text right back, but he'll always reach back, you know. And same number, same G from day one. When I met him before I even had this job, before I was even doing the contest, you know, and same guy since then.
Man, that's what's up. That's a cool thing to be able to have, like that type of person in a position that you can like have a direct line of contact with. That always you know that you can reach out to and they'll always reach back. That's like that's worth more than anything really as you go on your journey. And as you were talking, it made me think about do you have any guys that's like coming up behind you that you really feel like could carry on the torch?
I mean, I know a few people that do radio. Guys who came up with me. It's funny. I looked at it the other day. I was like, man, APB Charleston, prime example. My homie Chris Kalen down there in Charleston. Like she's done events at APB Charleston, and she's younger than me, but we were at state, went through the same program. She's coming up, female in radio, doing her thing down there in Charleston. You got my boy Braylon B-Man Jones up in the Greenville Spartanburg area, doing radio up that way. You know, my guy Nigel up in Charlotte. A lot of us came up together. So do I have one that's like I can't say one person. It's a few of us that went through the same South Carolina State program and went from there. Like when I came through the program, it was only a radio broadcasting minor. And when I graduated, it turned into an actual major, you know, and some of the people who I'm talking about actually came through that and they finished the program with the English and the radio actual major, you know. So seeing a lot of us doing radio out of college in different markets, like my homegirl Tradia, she's doing her thing. You know, it's a lot of people. I could say not one person I could put it on, but you know, it's a lot of us just seeing the grind that we had to go through at South Carolina State, younger or older, and how we're still doing radio, and we're all kind of in different parts, whether it be South Carolina or North Carolina. A lot of us are all around. So like when I say I got homies at this place or that place, it's because we kind of came up together. So it's nothing but a thing to call and be like, yo, check out this artist or check out this person or head up to this store and holler at my dog, you know. So it's one of those things where you got people that you kind of came up with and they're doing their thing. And it's good to see it too, you know.
For sure. Now that's dope, man. And it's always good to have like the people that's left into the right of you, which is actually gonna lead into my next and final question that I'm gonna have. You touched on it at the beginning of the conversation. You were talking about how people really need to dial in on building up their own thing, you know, having their own brand and building their own thing up. And I want you to like talk about it a little bit more because I think that as people go on their journeys, it's still a thought process, which is nothing wrong with it. You know, it's always good to work and aspire to get to this point, but make sure that we're still in the idea of using and utilizing your resources that's to the left and to the right of you. You know, that's right in front of you and using what you have in front of you to get to that point. Instead of like, man, they ain't gonna let me in, da 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 da. Like, yo, what's the problem? Like, I really want to like talk about that just a little bit more, man, because I think that the technology is really there and is really available, and it could be taken advantage of. And so, just like just drill in a little bit more on what you meant by that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So if I get fired tomorrow, radio, you could be here today, going tomorrow, right? If I get fired tomorrow, I know I could say, hey, I got my own platform to talk about the same things I did on radio, and it could be my spin on it. I don't have to worry about the FCC. I don't have to worry about who I'm offending. None of that. I could just talk and be me, right? So on your own platform, you could do those things. And it's funny, when I first started the podcast, it was one of those things, like when I told y'all earlier, you can't just play certain people's music. You know, it's a process to that. That was kind of my thing of like, yo, I'm not hearing such and such on the radio. I'm here locally, I don't hear them, right? So let's do a podcast where I could talk to them, hear their music, I could play their music, right? And it started with that. That turned into local artists here. And of course, you know, I always, man, people get tired of me talking about Florida, but I don't care. I'm from the crib.
Nah, talk that, man. Talk that. We here.
Right. So I'm always rep for the crib. And one thing, like I said, growing up listening to that music, I would always want to hear it up here. If I'm not playing it, I want to hear it. You know, it's some stuff I feel like South Carolina can hear and learn from, or just any place in general. You know, everybody can kind of, like I said earlier, iron sharper iron. A lot of the sounds I hear in certain artists, it came from Florida. A lot of the sounds I hear in New York has came from Atlanta. You know, so people stealing, they might not get credit to it or not, but at the end of the day, I like those ground root sounds and things like that. You know, I always wanted to, you know, one, get my spin on it, two, give credit to those artists, go give them their flowers while they're here or while they're even on the come up, because you just never know. In this industry, you never know who's gonna blow. Like I met the baby, man, when I met the baby, you couldn't tell me what was about to happen. Now, not saying I didn't feel it, but I just didn't know. You know, you never know. And, you know, and then boom, It just take one song and they out of there, you know. So one, giving credit to artists while whether they on the come up or whether they up there already went, you know, being Grammy nominated, you know, giving they flowers. So that's kind of how I started the podcast, just because of, you know, I wanted to interview people that weren't being interviewed on the radio. Okay, I can't interview them here. I'll do it on my own platform, you know, and give them shine there. So it's kind of like one thing. You got me in the radio. Hey, we can connect. I could try to, you know, help you out here and tell you what you need to do to get played here. But at the same time, I can play your stuff on my podcast platform and we go from there. And, you know, that's kind of one of those things. So yeah, starting your own is big because you just never know. And I think you said it, you were like, you know, they're not hearing me, they're not seeing me. Man, bump who not seeing you. People gonna see you, they gonna see you, you know, but you just gotta keep applying pressure. When you apply pressure to a point, they can't deny you, that's it. So like even artists trying to get their music played. Hey, I want to get my music played, blah, blah, blah. You can reach out to the radio station first, but if you talk to 10 of your homeboys and those 10 of your homeboys playing your stuff like that, make that, if they keep doing that and pushing that and it's good and everything, it's gonna get to the radio station. The radio station gonna hear it. Or the DJs that's in the strip clubs or the clubs, they gonna play it. And when they play it, they put it in their mix. When they play it in the mix, the APDs hear it, or the music directors hear it, or the program directors hear it, and boom, that's how I take off, you know. So, you know, hey, bump who not, whatever you're doing, whatever it is you're doing, keep pushing at it. Get your own platform for it. If you work for a company, cool, do that too. But at the same time, push yours too, you know, push it on the back end, because you just never know sometimes. You might be in the right place, right time, or you might take off at the right time. But yeah, have your own, because if the pandemic didn't teach nobody nothing, brick and mortar or just a job period, they might, hey, we got to cut back, you know. So when they cut back, what you gonna do? You gonna sit back, you know, cry, or you gonna work? So you got to be on your own stuff too.
Exactly. Nah, man, you hit it right on the head. And I appreciate you, man. We're gonna wrap it up with that. And just to say again, you know, appreciate you, bro. Like, this was really informative, man. This is something that we, you know, we love to do here at APB, man. This is like very crucial to getting that information out there, man. So for anybody that doesn't know, you know, follow Jay on Instagram at JFreshP.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? If you're not following us already, follow us at APB Store. Thank you to everybody that showed up. You know how we get down. We do this every time.
Don't leave yet.
Don't leave. Don't leave yet. I don't know who's leaving to what they're doing. Don't leave yet. You know how we get down. We're gonna take a picture. We need everybody to pose in the picture. We're gonna take a quick screenshot. We're gonna get live real quick.
Put on your cams, everybody. Just throw it on real quick.
Mark, Sam, Malcolm, Christian, Zoom user, whoever though. What that is, Tanisha. I don't want to mispronounce that one, you know what I'm saying? But you need to turn yours on too. You feel me?
Everybody throw on their camera real quick. We're gonna get a little group pic.
All that.
Showing the squad that showed up for the APB audio event. Mark, Sam.
Everybody.
T.
Yeah. Mark, where you at, bro?
Being fake.
Malcolm. We getting any last minute? I love the posing. Y'all are dedicated. Okay. All right. Throw a reaction up or something. Give us some love.
Yeah, man, throw something, man. Everybody, all right?
All right. Count of three. Well, who's taking a picture? I'm sorry.
I'm gonna take it real quick. All right. I'm gonna count down for 3. All right. 3, 2, 1. Got it. Bet. All right, y'all. We appreciate you. Jay, man, I appreciate you, my guy, man. Already. We'll talk soon. Everybody have a good night. Be safe. Stay COVID free. All of your digs. Peace.
Bye, everybody.